We're also following the latest in Japan, where a new nuclear crisis is unfolding this morning. Smoke rising from a reactor, workers evacuated, and now there are new concerns about radiation in the food supply. And
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ali Velshi.
I'm Christine Romans. It's Monday, March 21st.
Yes, I'm Kiran Chetry. It's great to see all of you this morning. We're following two big stories again, but major developments from where we left off on Friday.
That's right, absolutely.
Well, now they're the latest in Libya, where coalition forces are bombarding Gaddafi's forces. The weekend assault so fierce that Muammar Gaddafi's air defense system is all but crippled this morning. Here's the latest. Since Saturday, a barrage of U.S. played the lead role in Operation Odyssey Dawn, as it's called, over the weekend. It's not expected to last that long. Defense Secretary Robert Gates is insisting that responsibility will be handed to the French or British shortly. And despite the heavy military action in Libya, President Obama went ahead with a planned trip to Brazil. In a speech there, he mentioned what was going on in the Middle East. 13 minutes past the hour. When we left on Friday, we were talking about Gaddafi saying there's a ceasefire. Clearly, a lot changed over the weekend, so today we're updating you on what happened now, 3 days into Operation Odyssey Dawn, as it's called. Not a surprise that this happened, but the timing's interesting. The president was actually in Brazil over the weekend, and then he's heading to Chile today. What message does that send that the president isn't here while a major assault is taking place on a Middle Eastern country?
Well, I think there are two factors here. First of all, I don't think he should have. He had a couple of comments over the weekend, but I don't think he fully prepared the American people for America's long-term involvement. Excuse me.
Potentially be a long-term commitment, but over the weekend it felt as though all of these, not weeks, or weeks, not months. And Admiral Mike Mullen on the Sunday talk shows, would it be a successful mission in your mind if Gaddafi ends up staying in power?
I think it depends on the circumstance.
One of the things that we're looking at here, you just mentioned the president's ability or inability over the weekend was the convincing of the president that this is humanitarian. This is about Gaddafi.
The conversation is now gone because...
So it is a nuanced thing then. There are other elements that factor in, because there were some op-eds this weekend that said, well, why aren't we in Bahrain if it's about, the humanitarian thing? I mean, there was 100 protesters unarmed said to be killed in Bahrain. Why aren't we in other places where attacks are happening or dictators are suppressing their people?
Well, there is always...
Much for joining us and giving us perspective again. It's been great to have you walking us through all this. Thanks. With some progress, they were starting to get power back to 3 of these reactors. I hope with power supply they'd be able to do more cooling. Thought we were starting finally after always moving backwards for a week. But now this new smoke.
Yeah, and it seems that there may be some problems in terms of the actual infrastructure being damaged at a couple of those. They were able to get the water supply back to the ones 5 and 6, I guess, that weren't necessarily the biggest problem.
Right, they're stable.
But this is troubling news for sure as they try to get a handle on this situation.
And as Anna Corin was reporting, it is now affecting the food supply in a much larger range than expected. We'll keep you posted on that.
Well, if you can't find a job, maybe you're looking in the wrong place. Glad you're with us. It is Monday, March 21st, just a day until spring. A lot going on this morning. Welcome to American
Some parts
Morning.
of the country doesn't feel like spring just yet. Good morning. Coming up this hour, the crisis in Japan worse.
There's certainly a lot of coalition firepower in the Mediterranean. There are 2 guided missile destroyers along with 2 attack submarines. There's also a guided missile sub, all of them in position to launch these Tomahawk cruise missiles we've been talking about at Gaddafi targets in Libya. With you, thanks so much. Meantime, the situation in Libya is happening, but the president is continuing his first official trip through South America. After his weekend in Brazil, he'll be powerful weekend storms. Residents in the Bay Area dealing with fallen trees, power lines. Workers right now are scrambling to try to restore power to thousands who lost it. Saying, though, that it does not actually pose any health risk, even though those levels were elevated. But of course, whenever you're talking about concerns about contamination and your food, it gets a lot of people worried, understandably. So there is a lot of fear of what it could mean, even here in the United States, about our food supply. So we wanted to get the facts with our senior medical correspondent, Elizabeth Cohen. She joins us this morning with more. Good to see you in person, by the way.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Great. Thank
you. So you hear about this, the milk and spinach situation there. It makes you very scared, and it also makes us wonder, will eventually, because this situation in Japan has not wrapped up, will our food supply be affected?
Right, as of infinitesimally small. So the experts we talked to said they are
about imports. I mean, obviously Japan's not exporting any of this right now, but I mean, it does make you worried. I mean, how good are the safeguards in place to make sure that eventually it doesn't make its way somewhere?
Right. The U.S. does import a very small amount of food from Japan.
You're thinking,
Absolutely.
if I can't trust the food supply, if I can't trust the water that's coming out of the tap, I mean, it's scary.
Well, but that's in Japan, and I think we...
Our everyday lives all the time.
There is radiation in our lives all the time from the sun. Right now, you and I are getting hit by radiation. And the...
Talking to you.
Oh, good. I'm glad. That was my goal.
Elizabeth Cohen this morning. Thanks so much. We'll learn more about the relief effort. 37 minutes past the hour. It's day 3 of Operation Odyssey Dawn, as they're calling it. How much progress has been made by coalition forces on the stated goal, which was to render Gaddafi's air force and his ability to strike his own people useless?
Well, there's
the coalition with what's going on right now?
Well, I think they're two.
Admiral Mike Mullen said it's uncertain how this will end and when. He seemed to indicate that it would be days and weeks, not months or so forth. But what is the U.S. goal right now?
Well, I can't speak for the...
Is whether or not what Libya looks like in the weeks and months to come includes Gaddafi still in power. Admiral Mike Mullen also said there's a chance he could stay. I mean, this is within the, the hands of the Libyan people. Do you see that? And then there was some criticism of that. I think it was Senator Lieberman who said that would be, if we said Gaddafi must go and he stays, that actually makes us look weak in the eyes of the world. I mean, what do we know about the rebel forces, who they are, and could they ultimately control the country in a way that people who are seeking freedom in Libya would be satisfied with? This Navy captain, president of Turner Properties, great to get your insight this morning. Good talking to you.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Christine? All right. The timeliness, the fact that this happened despite the timing of these attacks in Libya, this could have gone very badly.
Could have gone exactly the other way. So we're very, very pleased that they've been released.
All right. It's always funny to get this news by Twitter. I mean, this is a sign of changing times as well. Last month, Verizon swiped a huge chunk of the iPhone market right out from under AT&T. Well, now AT&T has made another bold move of its own, a $39 billion deal, still subject to approval, to buy T-Mobile and to create the largest wireless carrier in the country. Matt Buchanan, I was reading your pre-interview notes. You're not that high on it. You think that it's actually going to mean less choice for customers?
Yeah, I think so, because you're getting rid of one of the 4 major national... So you're getting rid of the cheapest carrier who made Verizon and AT&T have to compete a little bit better on pricing. So I think that's bad.
So who could it be good for? We were saying it could be sort of promising that they're going to broaden that accessibility. So that could be, you called it cat.
So one of the promises AT&T has made if this deal...
Until this deal is ready to, is sealed in the books, because they might have to make concessions. Who knows how they're going to have to get this thing through.
Right, because you were talking about...
We were talking about this earlier. The prices, the price...
It has, but there's still like interesting things like the way SMS text messages are...
Tended to be the more adventurous one, experimenting with the Sidekick and some of the other other devices that young people liked a lot. But the other question is also about, I heard AT&T saying things about charging for, if you use a lot of data, like new pricing plans. I mean, is that where they're going to get you here?
Well, AT&T right now, they don't give you unlimited data unless you've been grandfathered in and you're going to pay for that extra amount of data. T-Mobile still had unlimited plans. Sprint has limited plans, but Verizon's moving to a similar structure this summer, they said, where they're going to charge you per byte.
Do you think it means that some of these other companies, the smaller ones, Metro PCS and Ma Bell, they took Ma Bell apart, now all the babies have merged.
tech topic before we leave. iPad 2 supply problems, perhaps. Will we see a delay because of what's going on in Japan?
And she doesn't mean that personally or anything. She's not.
No, I don't care. I'm happy with part one. But I'm just wondering. I mean, because this is their top selling. They sold 1 million in the first day. I mean, it was crazy, gangbusters. Are they going to have problems now because of the Japan situation?
It's possible. You've got the rolling blackouts, and you've got supply problems moving people around, and so you may see some impact on components that are used and things like that.
Well, thanks, Matt. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Take care.
And some panic buying going on. Americans are snapping up some cars made only in Japan on fears that prices will go through the roof. Stephanie Elam has that story coming up next.